Hello, Cedric. How are you today?
Hey Aaron, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. What's the temperature like down there in Mississippi?
It's kind of warm and a little humid today. It's back up to the 90s. We had went down to the
Ooh,
mid 80s, but now it's back up to the 80s, 90s. But the evening times are cooler.
okay.
So yeah.
All right. Well, it's a nice, cool 70s here in Virginia. So
Oh
I
yeah.
you can keep the 90s. You can keep the 90s.
Okay.
But
Very good.
but we're so happy to have you. And can you tell us a little bit about your journey in advocacy within your state of Mississippi?
Well, my journey in advocacy within the state is it actually started probably like maybe 17 years ago, honestly. And at first, I didn't really know much about advocacy. I was diagnosed with HIV in 2005. Um, I didn't seek treatment at the moment, but at that time, I wasn't living in Mississippi. I ended up having to move back to Mississippi because I came very close to death as from complications of AIDS. So I had to move back home. So the journey started off. Um, was kind of slow because I was like, I didn't know much about it, but I did know that I was like, God saved me from dying and that I wanted to do something to help other people like me. And once, after 2 years or whatever, after I got healthy, I actually got a job in Jackson, Mississippi, an outreach job there with an organization and just start doing more advocacy work, learning more about advocacy work, traveling with some groups to Washington, D.C., becoming a part of Mississippi HIV Planning Council, the statewide planning council, and just learning stuff that I feel I needed to learn. And then I became like that voice, or for people that wasn't as I don't want to say brave, but wasn't like me, that really didn't care what nobody think, because I realized that God saved me, and especially for an area like I'm in now, the Mississippi Delta, where is like the buckle of the Bible Belt, and I just it's been great. I've done some great things, uh, to bring notoriety to HIV/AIDS and to Black gay men. I was a part of a documentary called Deep South. I was in at one point a part of a story in the New York Times, and then done videos and different stories throughout. And it's just, but the most important thing for me in my journey in advocacy is hearing other people say that because of your story, because you told your story, it changed my life, whether they're here in Mississippi or across the state or even out of this country. I've had a few people from Africa to hit me up on some social media sites and said the same thing. So that's the best thing for me, that I have made a difference in some people's life.
Yeah. Well, you have really done some really great work in providing, resources and even providing community to those who are often marginalized. And your work in HIV and AIDS, like you said, it's impactful. Can you speak to the importance of HIV/AIDS education and awareness when it comes to your community where you currently are?
Well, simply because in the community that I'm at now, it's sad to say after 30 some years of HIV/AIDS that the education is lacking.
Mm,
And it's very important because you still have people that believe you can contract HIV from just eating out of, eating behind someone that's living with HIV. Uh, the most, to me, sexual education is very important. And there's a lack of sexual education here in this area, simply because we cannot get into the schools. We talk about sex education, then we're talking about HIV/AIDS. We're talking about other sexually transmitted diseases, and how to protect yourself and prevent yourself from contracting any of those diseases. And it's just like that education is not there to get into the schools. When you have students, when Mississippi being high, dealing with STDs like chlamydia, gonorrhea, and the
mhm.
same thing as teen pregnancy, then my thing is let's talk about sex. Let's have those conversations about sex. And like I said again, this being the Bible Belt, a Bible Belt state in this area is very much so, you know, religious, and people don't want to talk about sex, but they don't see what's going on. And when we do have those conversations about HIV/AIDS, a lot of time people be like, "Wow, I didn't know that," because their thoughts are still them, so to speak. You know, and it's like they didn't know this or that, or like now with all the preventive measures that we have in this day and time, a lot of people don't know about PrEP.
Mhm.
And the with now people that's living with HIV can get a shot, you know, vaccine like Cabenuva. People don't even know about that. So, and not to mention these young kids are very much so sexually active, and they don't know about condoms, you know. So it's lacking, but
Right.
it's gonna get better.
We're gonna switch gears. Okay, we're gonna talk about a very big first for the Delta that happened this summer. It was the first Black Pride celebration in the region's history. Can you speak to the significance of getting this event off the ground and what it means for Black queer visibility in the Mississippi Delta?
When we were putting this together, we worked with another organization in putting this together. When we went to, you know, because this area doesn't have the big hotels, and they really don't have the meeting spaces like we really wanted to, because we didn't want it just to be a party. We wanted it to be educational as well. When we went, we have a casino here, and when we went to the casino to talk about it, and we, you know, told them this is what we want to do. We want to have a pride event in this area. They were very supportive, you know, very supportive of that. Also, when we went to the city hall and we talked to the mayor of Greenville, and we told him what we're doing, because we asked him if he would be a part and speaking at our health summit to welcome people that's not from the area to the area. Um, for me, it meant for young Black queer people in this area to see that whatever you put your mind to doing, you can do it. Don't
Mhm.
allow people to put you in a box and say because you're this, it can't be done. Don't allow people to dictate what you want to do in your life, and to show uh, young queer people that you have people here that support you, and we can do this together. There's no venue for queer people here in the Mississippi Delta. No place for them to go out to just hang out to a club or anything like that. Um, so this was just something to give them a refreshing and kind of relax their mind. Now, I want to say this: we had a great amount of heterosexual people there too,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, they really wanted to. You know, they supported. They came out. They afterwards, you know, especially during the health summit, they talked about things that they learned and they didn't know, you know, and that's an education component there. And
Yeah.
then, of course, when we had the different shows or the pageants or whatever, they were excited because, you know, some said that they had never seen a drag show but on television, and it
Wow.
was excited for them. And they saw that it wasn't what they thought, you know, a wow party or um, gay people doing this or that. You know,
Yeah.
they saw that it wasn't that it was just people enjoying themselves.